Hello everybody, it's Technicians Tuesday, and today we've got a special 2-day project that includes a 20-hour service, installing a new VHF radio system, a Bezels 703, and even a little trick on how you can enlarge an existing hole with a hole saw. We've got a lot to do, so let's get started. Here in the morning we started out by knocking out this 20-hour service on a set of triple Mercury 350 horsepower Verados. Just in case this is new to you, all new engines go through what is called a break-in period. All that means is that with a new engine, all of the gears, bearings, piston rings, and other moving parts inside of it are just freshly machined. So they need to be what is called broken in, and this is where all of these parts smooth each other out and fit themselves together. This process dirties up the oil and gear lube really fast, so manufacturers require that we perform a 20-hour service to remove the dirty oils. We do this by simply changing the engine oil and the gear lube. Since this seems to be such a controversial subject, we ended up writing an article on our website about breaking in an engine. I'll put a link in the description to it. Now with that out of the way, it was time to start in on the VHF system. Today we were upgrading from an older, discontinued Garmin VHF 300 AIS system to a Garmin VHF 210 AIS system. Garmin has changed the plugs so these two systems are not compatible with each other, which is a bummer because if something fails, you have to change the entire system out. Unless you can find the part that has failed online or something. But we'll start by getting all of the old stuff out so we can see what we are working with. Once we get access to the back of the active speaker, I followed the cables and started removing zip ties so that we could run strings later to pull the new wires to the radio. I removed the bezels from the top using a knife and then took the screws out of the speaker. Pulled the speaker out and it was time to address what kind of hole we were looking at. The screw holes couldn't be covered by the new radio, so I made up a clean piece of black starboard so that it would match the radio. With the edges routed, I screwed it into place and got the template ready to cut the hole out for the new radio. Using this awesome snap-on sawzall, I cut out the hole for the radio. With the hole cut out, I stuck the new VHF in place, screwed it in, and changed out the mic hanger, which meant it was time to pull those wires we talked about a minute ago. After cutting out all of the zip ties and getting the antenna wire over to the rigging tube, I tied the NEMA 2000 cable to it and pulled it up to the radio. Then after hooking up the antenna, NEMA 2000 cable, 12 volt power, and the cable that goes to the upstairs, it was time to get that cable upstairs. This really wasn't that bad because there was a nice canvas cover with a zipper covering the rigging tube, which was full of holes, allowing me to work a snake and then the cable up into the second station's electronics box. With that cable up there, it was time to assess the damage up here. After pulling out the old holder, I unboxed the new handheld mic for up here. This mic was corded so it couldn't go straight up and down like the previous one, so I decided to put it on an angle and put the cable hook up where the old wire went through, which brings us to our next problem, and that is how in the world can you enlarge a hole saw hole using a hole saw? It's really pretty simple and easy to do. The way I like to do this is by taking a bigger hole saw and drilling out a piece of a 2x4, giving us a nice wooden circle. If the wood piece doesn't fit exactly into the hole, just take some blue painter's tape and wrap it a couple times so that it fits snugly inside the hole. Now just stick that in the hole and slowly and carefully put the drill bit into the wood piece and begin the hole. Once you get the hole saw deep enough into whatever you are cutting, you can apply some pressure and finish out the cut. This works like a dream and doesn't destroy whatever you are drilling. With the upper station done, it was time to get the Bezels 703 installed. The only problem was that where it needed to go was super tight. So, after making some calculations and removing the autopilot to see if we could gain some space, I cut out some of the side where the autopilot was and moved it over as far as I could. With that moved over, I taped up where we were going to be working and got the template in place, exactly where the screen would fit. I like to put the blue painter's tape all around the fiberglass where I'm cutting for a couple of reasons. It helps to keep the glass from chipping, and it also protects the surrounding glass in case something happens, like if a blade breaks or something. With the template in place, I drilled a hole in one of the corners of the template to get the saw blade in. Then began carefully cutting around the template until it was completely cut out. It was now time for the moment of truth. Which this is the beauty of using a template. If it is the right one, the part usually fits like a dream. Drilled out the holes for the screws and removed all of the tape. Cleaned it up and screwed the screen in place. Installed the bezels here, which just slide into place like this. These hook up a little differently than the old stuff. Mercury has gotten rid of the older NEMA 2000 gateway and came out with this vessel view link, which hooks up to the NEMA 2000 backbone and the vessel view. I screwed the link box to the back of the helm and ran the wires to the backbone and the back of the gauge. Hooked them up and zip tied everything together nice and neatly. With everything back together, it was time to set up the new gauge, which these use an auto selector, so after you pick the language, they basically set themselves up with the exception of the fuel gauge. And that is going to wrap up our day here for this week's Technicians Tuesday. Since this was a 2-day job, I won't add any project updates. I know it's been a couple of weeks since we have shown any of them, but I promise they are coming. I do want to thank you for hanging out with us today. And for those of you that are new, we make a Technicians Tuesday every Tuesday. So hit that subscribe button and get the bell on so you'll know when next week's video comes out. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and let us know about what you've been installing on your boat in the comments section below. If you'd like us to cover something or you have any questions, you can reach out to us on our website at bornagainboating.com and we'll do our best to help you out. Now with that, enjoy your Tuesday night and we'll see you next week.